Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second season of the Spda Luxuryball tier. We are back at it again in the Luxuryball division. We are running it back. Um, Love this league. Love to be around it. So excited. Welcome to the draft analysis for the league. Obviously, last season we had our fun rain team. This time we are going to be running it with a monotype team. Yes. After seeing a couple people run it last season, I decided I absolutely had to get on the trend. And why not for a content league, you know? So without further ado, let's get into it. I went and grabbed Zapdos as my first pick. Really big pickup for us, really important one. We're going to need that flying type for all the ground types that we're going to be running into. So yes, this one is a very good defensive ball as well. It's quite hard to find defensive electric types, so this one is very good to have for us. It gives us access to momentum, also gives us hazard removal, which is really hard because there's only 3 electric types in this gen, that in Paldea, in Scarlet and Violet, that actually get hazard removal in Zapdos, Regieleki and Oricorio. So yeah, really important for us to pick up Zapdos. This thing is obviously very good, known to be quite a defensive mon, but it's also it outputs strong damage, can be invested, it runs lots of different items and sets, so that is Zapdos. Next up we grabbed a classic, one of my favourites to draft here and there. It was Iron Hands. I had to also grab this thing. This was a must guarantee as there's not many physical electric types, which is going to be a problem this season, but Iron Hands was definitely the best one around. Also gives us access to a secondary fighting type, which is really nice. For like stuff like rock types and steel types for us. Yeah, this strong mon is quite versatile. Very strong physical attacker, obviously, which we need is able to run that booster item, but it's also really good with I've run choice band sets, it gets sword stance sets, has access to fake out, which is quite good on some assault vest sets. So yeah, this mon is going to be very good. It's also quite bulky, which again we're going to quite need. So very excited to have Iron Hands. For the third pick, I went and picked up Sandy Shocks. This one's also really important for us as it gives us access to ground typing. Not only that, but I believe Sandy Shocks, I didn't really look into it too deeply, but it might be the only electric type that actually gets hazards. In my head when I was drafting, that's what I thought of it. So Sandy Shock's actually giving us access to Stealth Rocks, and I'm also pretty sure it gets access to Spikes, which is very good for us, very nice. This one's also just really fast, another booster energy mon. It's also quite versatile. The electric and ground typing is nice together. Also gets momentum in Volt Switch, as pretty much, I'm pretty sure everything gets Volt Switch on this team, or almost everything, which is nice. But it also just has a couple of extra niche moves. It gets screens, access to screens. It also has stuff like Flash Cannon as well. So really, really nice to have Sandy Shocks around. Next up, I went and got Rotom Wash. This is going to be a key mon for us as an access. It's one of the water type, electric water type mons for us that actually gives us the ability to hit ground types, which I can guarantee you if the opponent's got one, it's coming into us this season. But this one's very good. I can run Choice Scarf, Choice Specs. It's very quite a bulky mon. I'm pretty sure the Rotoms didn't lose screens this gen. Really good bulky mon as well with lefties, Will-O-Wisp as well. If it lands those really strong Hydro Pumps, then Rotom is going to be an absolutely amazing mon for us, and yeah, just having that water typing is absolutely crucial. And again, it's amazing because it has access to that levitate ability, so it means it's not being hit by those ground type moves, which is really nice. Next up, I went and grabbed the first hero captain. I knew I had to grab this thing early, otherwise it was a good chance it got sniped from us, and that is Jolteon. Jolteon is going to be our first hero captain. Really good for us because it gives us a really fast base speed, which I don't have to run a choice scarf on to be able to outspeed some of the lower speed mons that like to run choice scarfs. This thing is just going to be really good. It gets access to, it's strong with choice specs. It gets some really cool moves like Alluring Voice. It gets access to Carmine now, which is really nice alongside those Terra sets. Like stuff like Terra Blast plus Thunderbolt, Carmine itself. really nice. It did end up giving it terrors in Ice, Fairy, and Grass. Um, Ice, obviously, for that bolt beam coverage is really nice. Fairy to boost up those um, alluring voices, and we also, the only electric fairy in Scarlet and Violet is Dedenne. So having access to a fairy type for some of those dragon moves is really nice, really important for us. Otherwise, we've good chance we're just going to get dragon spammed from a couple of teams. So that is Jolteon. Really excited to use it as a Terra Captain. Next up, I went and grabbed Electivire. Again, I needed physical attackers. I'm kidding you when I say the only really good electric physical attackers were Iron Hands and Electivire around. I had to make sure I got myself Electivire. I haven't had the opportunity to use this thing much, so I'm excited to see what it can do. Obviously, it actually could be run on both sides. I'm pretty sure its special attack base stat is also not that bad, because it definitely gets access to stuff like Flamethrower, I believe. So that's going to be nice. But yeah, it's strong Supercell Slams. I'm not sure if it still gets access to Cross Chop. Sorry, I know it definitely had Cross Chop in the past. I think it's bulk upsets, gets Ice Punch and knockoff. Again, I'm pretty sure all these electric types almost get screened as well. Definitely has momentum in Volt Switch, Earthquakes. Yeah, this thing desperately needed it for some physical attacking strength, but also does go special. They obviously opponents might expect it becoming physically, and we pivot it and we go especially when we go and they've switching in their physically offensive defensive mons into this thing, and we nuke them with a special whiff. So that is Electivire. Next up, I went and got Rotom Mo. Yes, Rotom Mo. We got a second Rotom form. There is no rule about not being able to have Rotoms on the same team and bringing them in the same battle. So I can bring multiple Rotom forms to battle because they are different Pokemon. They are not the same Pokemon. They're classified as different forms. So Rotom Mo also being picked up. Again, this gives us another immunity to ground and also something that actually hits ground types, which is really important for us. Those strong leaf storms are really good. And again, I can guarantee they're going to be coming because they're nice. This thing's a bit more offensive than Rotom Washes, which is going to be really nice for us. The electric and grass coverage is also quite good, I believe, like really nice. Something like a nasty Leaf Storm or Thunderbolt is going to smack hard. They obviously also get access to that ghost type coverage, potentially tricking Scarfs onto things, as well as just throwing off Will-O-Wisp as well if we need to. Obviously those Rotom forms are much better than that base Rotom. So excited to have Rotom Mo on the team as well. Next up, I went and grabbed Magnezone. Keen to try out this thing. Unfortunately, this thing could Terra, otherwise I definitely would have made a Terra Captain. I think that's quite cool. Not sure if Magnet Pull is banned or not. I will have to go back and double check on that, because obviously it is a trapping ability. But if it is available, then being able to trap those steel types and fire off body presses with Magnezone's really good defense stat is really nice. Otherwise, those sturdy and analytic sets hit really nice. Having access to discharge and volts, which is obviously nice, but it also gives us access to iron defense body press sets. We also have a strong steel type move in Flash Cannon. This thing doesn't really get much coverage outside of that, but otherwise this thing is just a good mon. Got a pretty, obviously it's one of the evolutions of a Gen 1 Pokemon, so it's got a decent stat buff increase from when it evolved. But yeah, potentially Scarfing and Spexing this thing as well is very good, and those, I think finding the right matchups where those Iron Defense Body Press sets can put in a lot of work, especially if they're expecting this thing to be a special attacker again. It also just gives us at least something else to switch into those Dragon type moves. Which is really nice. And Air Balloon, chucking Air Balloon on a few of these ones is definitely going to be something we see throughout the season, but giving this thing Air Balloon especially is going to be very nice. So that is Magnezone. Next up, I went and picked up Hisuian Electrode. I did previously pick up Lantern, but I was happy that we did end up doing a trade, which is, and then I ended up deciding to pivot to Hisuian Electrode instead, which I'm keen to try this thing. Not a Terra Captain, because I have another Terra Captain coming up next, which I did wanted to try out more, but we could potentially pivot this thing to a Terra Captain if we want to try it out. But obviously, Hisuian Electro, again, another really fast one for us, giving us that extra speed. But again, another grass type that is able to hit those ground type Pokemon, sorry. And obviously it doesn't levitate, but this thing has some cool niches. Obviously gets access to like static, so again, this team's going to be quite heavily around potentially getting Paras off onto opposing mons, which is going to be really nice if we can do so. What does it get? It also has access to like soundproof, making those immune to those sound type moves. I think there is definitely like a Terra Toxicity around here somewhere, so potentially fighting off against those boom bursts could be nice. So potentially in matchup soundproof could be nice. But this thing, obviously it's known for its offensive sets, and obviously it's nice when this thing tears. But this thing's also got some really cool stuff. Obviously there's that sub leech seed set, which can be quite frustrating if you don't have something that's able to outspeed it. It's like that toxic set from Salazzle. If you don't have something fast enough to deal with it, then it becomes hard to deal with. Obviously it gets access to Giga Drain as well to keep itself healthy, but it gets some cool stuff like it also gets Foul Play, which is nice for any strong physical attackers. Potentially switching in on like a Garchomp that's set up and Foul Playing and potentially doing super large damage to it, which is really nice. But yeah, otherwise it's got its signature Chloroblast move as well, which is really strong. So this thing is going to just be a nice fast pivot around for us, potentially chip on some damage here and there and be nice and strong. So that is Hisuian Electrode. Next up, my second and final Terra Captain for the time being is Oricorio Pom-Pom. They have allowed the Oricorios to Terra. I believe this thing was potentially banned last season, I cannot recall correctly. All the Oricorios have been released from Terra Hell though. And then that is purely because of its scary Quiver-Dance sets. This thing is going to be a very strong setup mon for us. Sorry. It's going to come, it's going to click Quiver Dance, and we're going to be able to Terra, and that Revelation Dance move changing just like Terra Blast does is really nice, but we also already have it as an electric step move. I believe it's like literally the only electric type move it learns, which is really interesting about I think this is like the only mon that doesn't have momentum. Actually, I lied. I think this thing gets Baton Pass and U-turn. So actually, everything on my team definitely has momentum, I believe. But yeah, this thing's going to come and click Quiver Dance, Hurricanes, and Revelation Dances. And that Revelation Dance is going to change between ground, water, flying, and electric. Obviously, I've gone with Terra Ground, Water, and Flying. Flying buffs up those huge Hurricanes, but also gives us a Revelation Dance, a flying type move that cannot miss. Compared to potentially Hurricanes missing. Water just lets me hit ground types, potentially. Obviously I could have gone ice, but I think having water is really nice. It allows us to hit like some extra fire types, obviously with a couple of fire weak mons on our team. And then ground just hits just like the steel types and the rock types. That are also potentially good mons into us, and especially with a lot of rock types also coming along with that ground typing. Same with steel types coming along with that ground typing and that rock typing. So that is going to be Oricorio Pom-Pom. I'm so excited to try this thing out as a Terra Captain. Yeah, this thing also gets access to Source Dance, I believe, which is cool. And obviously, again, I did say this thing was a Defogger. So this is going to be quite a cool mon for us to try out, and I'm excited to try Oricorio Pom-Pom. For the 11th mon, I picked up Rotom Frost, our third Rotom form. Gives us access to one of the only, I think is it the only electric ice type? I believe it's the only electric ice type. So the only natural Bolt Beam on that actually gets stabbed on both of them without having to Terra. Which is amazing for us. Again, Levitate is really nice. I have used this thing before, and I actually found its blizzards to be super amazing when they landed. Alongside Thunderbolts and Volt Switches. Again, Will-O-Wisp. A lot of the Rotoms do the same stuff. But they're utilized quite differently. Rotom Urshifu is definitely going to be a bulky one for us. That Rotom is going to be just a menace with its nasty pots and its tricks. This Rotom Fridge, depending on the matchups, obviously Ice is not a very good defensive type, but pivoting around between stuff, potentially throwing off with Will-O-Wisps and being able to tank stronger physical moves. Also gets, and then it doesn't need to run anything else, honestly. It's Volt Switches, it's Thunderbolts, it's Blizzards, just literally hitting everything for at least a neutral damage, pretty much, is quite literally amazing. Chuck a Choice Specs on it, Blizzards, that's, nothing really wants to take that unless it resists it. Again, it gets access to screens as well, so potentially, obviously all the Rotoms get access to Pain Split, So being able to heal back that damage potentially, again, really amazing. So that is Rotom Frost, and that's the 3 Rotom forms. It's able to get 3 of the Rotom forms in the team. So that's really nice. And lucky last mon I picked up has picked up Bellybolt. Um, this mon is so good. I love this thing. Obviously, it's quite seen often as a Terra Captain, and again, it's another mon I can pivot to a Terra Captain if I want to try it out. But for now, I'm excited to try the other Terra Captains, but this is Bellybolt. I think this mon is amazing. This thing gives us a bit more to take on, a bit more defensive side. Obviously, not everything on our team is quite defensive, unfortunately. But which is again like a playstyle I lean into. I kind of tend to play more. I invest in my defensive and chip things down over time. So this thing is actually going to be able to put in a bit of work how I like to. This thing is just a nuisance. Discharges, throwing up power is really good abuser of screens. Electromorphosis firing off those super strong electric attacks is really good. It gets access to Slack Off, so it's able to stay healthy. Again, Volt switches, so it pivots around. Also gets access to Toxic. So again, if we sit in front of something that doesn't really want to take on Bellybolt, we can throw up a Toxic and absolutely just sit there and Slack Off, which could get rid of a wall that we might not want to be facing down, which is really nice. Also get some really cool stuff like Azure Spray and Soak. Those Soak turning stuff into water types, which is going to be really good for us considering we are electric type. Also has some niche moves, like I guess like a Sucker Punch as well for momentum, which isn't quite often, but it's there. This thing actually gets Weather Ball. I'm not sure how many of the ones I actually draw to get access to Weather Ball, but a lot of them actually really get access to like rain tunes. I think there's a couple sunny days around, potentially a sand. I doubt there's a sandstorm, but maybe Magnezone potentially. I don't know. But it gives access to Weather Ball, which is really nice. If we want to run some rain dance sets with Thunders on some of our mods like Zapdos, Zapdos definitely gets Weather Ball, it's a common abuser of it. But yeah, that's Bellybolt. And that is the 12 mons I drafted for our mono electric type team. I'm excited to try this out. I'm ready for this season. I'm excited to go. And I hope to potentially get some wins and see how far we can go with a mono electric team. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you're looking forward to the season. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good one.